great for about a quarter before Michigan starts running away from that.
Now. Michigan State is one of those rivalry games where crazy things happen. Bad Michigan State teams win in that series. Just be careful. It's got one of my favorite trophies too. I love the Paul Bunyan Trophy.
What a case study though for what we were asked about before the break in coaches' contracts.
There's another one, yeah.
But I understand. See, that's the thing. I understand why Michigan State did what they did. I do. I really do.
They thought LSU was coming to get Mel Tucker.
And put it this way. Use a local example. Let's just put it out there. Ole Miss is favored this weekend. They win. They play Alabama really close, but they lose. They go to Arkansas and they win because they can, and they win the Egg Bowl. Win 10 games again. And then Auburn finally hires an athletic director whenever that happens, and the rumors start flying. Lane Kiffin's on his short list. Mm-hmm. If Keith Carter decided, you know what? We can't go over 10. Auburn wants to go over 10. I'm not going to do it. See ya. Thanks, Lane. Appreciate you, but you're going to go. The backlash that would come for Keith Carter if he did not fight with everything he had to keep Lane Kiffin in Oxford. I mean, I don't know if it's this far, but it would make people question his job. You feel like you've got to do it, but it wouldn't be the best economic decision for the school. Let's say that Auburn offered Lane Kiffin $11 million a year, but he went to Keith and said, hey, if you give me 11.5, I'll stay. You know what the answer that all of the fans would say? Oh, you better give him 11.5. You better.
Which, by the way, would be a $4.5 million raise from what he's making this year.
But that would be, the average Ole Miss fan would say, you better. Even if it wouldn't be the most sound decision.
So.
And these guys get trapped.
There are things that don't make a ton of sense sometimes in our home state of Mississippi. Coaching salaries are one area where state laws protect us from ourselves. Because the maximum length of contract for a state employee is 4 years. There are little workarounds you can do that kind of get you more into guaranteed money that goes a little farther than that. But if you're an athletics director or a university president in the state of Mississippi, even if you want to, you can't sign a coach to a 10-year, $75 million contract or a 10-year, $90 or $95 million contract. You just can't legally do it. And it's a good thing. You think the state of Michigan wishes, Michigan State people wishes they had a law in where they weren't locked into $90 million with Mel Tucker? Do you think the state of Texas and Texas A&M folks wish they weren't locked in to $95 million?
Basically, what you just said is the LSU job got three coaches about $250 million, $270 million worth of guaranteed money.
$90 million for Mel Tucker. $95 million for Jimbo.
And then the guy who actually got the job, Brian Kelly, got what?
$100 million.
60, 70 million?
Well, it didn't.
Yeah.
No. It's a 10-year, $100 million, 10-year, $97 million deal.
So $285 million because of one job.
What was the job that got James Franklin his? It was USC,
it was USC.
right?
Yeah, it was USC that got James Franklin a big bump.
He's at least kind of earning it.
All of that other stuff going on is part of the reason that Lane Kiffin got bumped to average salary of $7.5 million over the next 4 years. It's what the marketplace is doing. So here's the larger question. Are these crazy contracts that everybody's looking at and going, well, what a mistake? Andy Staples writes as the lead to the story that he wrote at The Athletic earlier today or yesterday or whatever it was, that he was greeted by an athletics director a few years ago where the AD walked up to him and said, "We've lost our minds." And that was in an era when you were paying $5 million a year for coaches. And the Bielema contract seemed crazy at Arkansas. Now it's double that.
I remember
double plus that.
When Saban got $4 million at Alabama. And, his first year he was 6-6, and everybody was laughing. Everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, they're paying, however much," I can't do the math in my head, a win.
All right, so the larger question, right? As we inevitably head toward this offseason coaching cycle, are there ADs that go, no, we can't keep doing this? Or do they all become prisoners of the moment and we have to do this right now and put themselves in financially dubious positions that they know are not smart to do, but they feel like they have no choice otherwise?
I don't think they're prisoners of the moment. They're prisoners of their boosters. And their boosters are fans and fanatics, and they don't want to lose ground. And so they go to the athletic director like, "Hey, I'm the one paying the bills here. We're the ones paying the bills here. You got to do this. We can't afford to lose this guy." Now, I don't understand how Texas A&M's boosters saw what Jimbo Fisher has done to that point, and said, "Yes, we can afford to do this." But they did, and now they're here.
Yeah, it's going to have to take one AD with a lot of rapport. I mean, hiring coaches is not an exact science, right? I mean, remember the praise that the Joe Moorhead hire got at Mississippi State?
Let me interrupt that thought, though, Borky. But I hear what you're saying. It's going to take one AD with the ability who already has the rapport, either with fans or the president or whatever, to stand up and go, "No, this is crazy. We're not doing this." But who is that?
I don't
is
know.
it going to be Auburn? No. With a brand new athletics director who's going to do whatever Jimmy Rain tells him to do? Georgia's already locked into Jimbo. To Kirby, and with good reason. Alabama, with good reason, is locked in. Clemson is locked in. The only school that I can think of in recent years that has gone backward, well, I can think of two of them. One of them has worked out, the other one hasn't, is Michigan with Jim Harbaugh. Michigan went backward on their deal with Jim Harbaugh, and he actually agreed to do it. And then Nebraska went backward with Scott Frost, but Scott Frost had no leg to stand on. He was either going to be fired at that point, or he could agree to a lesser deal so that he could try to dig himself out of the hole, and it didn't work. Can you think of any other school that's gone backward?
But somebody's got to. I mean, hiring, again, it's not an exact science, but let's use Ole Miss as an example.
Okay.
That previous scenario that I laid out.
Okay.
If the money gets ridiculous, let's say Auburn offers him 12 or 13, whatever. If the money gets too much,
okay.
If it gets to that point, and Keith Carter decides we can't financially do this, there are good coaches out there that would take the Ole Miss job tomorrow. My favorite one in the world, Dave Clawson. You don't have to financially hamstring yourself forever because you have a good coach.
All right, so
because there are other ones out there.
So let's stick with the Ole Miss idea just for a second, and we'll carry this conversation into the break. Because here's the question. Let's say, Borky, in your scenario, you've got to go from $4 million to 11 or 11.5 million to retain Lane Kiffin if they win 10 games again this year. Where is that $4.5 million